Parliamentary procedure is very important in the political arena, helping our elected officials effectively make policy for our country. Today, you will observe individuals who will show different methods by which meetings can be run more effectively using parliamentary procedure. Meetings conducted in this manner help groups to accomplish more in less time. Teams for this event are made up of 6 members. A main motion is provided to each of the teams to discuss along with a set of required motions for the team to introduce. Each team will demonstrate as if they are in a regular chapter meeting. 10 minutes are allowed for this demonstration. The superintendent of this event, Dr. Foster, likes to call this event the Super Bowl of CDEs and LDEs. He would like me to let you all know that this event will be live tweeted with hashtag SuperBowlLDE. The National Parliamentary Procedure event is sponsored by TransCanada. Judging today's event is no simple task, and we are fortunate to have with us very qualified individuals for this responsibility. Judges, will you please stand as your name is called? Ms. Kay Cruz, President of the American Institute of Parliamentarians. She is also a certified professional parliamentarian, or a CPP, and a professionally registered parliamentarian, a PRP. It's important to note that she is one of less than 50 people who has this title, or has both titles. Our next judge is Dr. Roger Hansaw of West Virginia. He is a member of the West Virginia House of Delegates. He is also a CPP and a PRP, and is another one of the less than 50 people who has both of these titles. Our next judge is Mr. Will Fett, Executive Director of the Iowa Agricultural Literacy Foundation. And finally, Mr. Peter Juskowski of TransCanada. Thank you, judges. It is also important to note that students from the University of Idaho and Penn State have been essential in all areas of this event and will be helping with timekeeping. Audience, we ask that you please observe a few basic rules to ensure that the event runs smoothly and to provide a fair environment for all participants. Please take a moment to turn off or silence all electronic devices, including cell phones. Once Courtesy Corps has sealed the doors, please remain quiet and in your seat. If you must step out, please wait to do so between presentations. Thank you for your cooperation. With the Courtesy Corps, please secure all doors and hallways. Judges, are you ready? Our first team in the Parliamentary Procedure event is from the Eldon FFA chapter in the state of Missouri. Team members include Chloe Wilson, Hattie Grisham, Nikki Kidwell, Bailey Ferris, Morgan Lowton, and Leah Stichler.
Is there any new business?
Madam Chairman,
Morgan.
I move to rescind the motion made at our last meet that our chapter have a bicycle safety program.
Second. It has been moved and seconded that we rescind the motion made at our previous meeting that our chapter hold a bicycle safety program. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Morgan.
After this motion passed, I was able to go speak to our superintendent, Mr. Davis. He said we would not be able to host this event due to liability issues, and we must rescind it.
Is there any further discussion on rescinding this motion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. But let me remind the Assembly that this motion requires a 2/3 vote because it was not verbally presented at our previous meeting or submitted in writing. All those in favor of rescinding the motion, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. Opposed, same sign. The motion is rescinded. Is there any new business?
Madam Chairman.
Patty.
I move that the chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state.
Second. It has been moved and seconded that the chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state. Is there any discussion?
Madam
I
Chairman.
object to the consideration of this question.
The consideration of the question has been objected to. This motion requires a 2/3 negative vote to sustain. Shall the question be considered? All those in favor of considering the question, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Be seated. Because there is less than 2/3 in favor of the objection is not sustained. Hattie, because you are the maker of this motion, you have first priority of debate.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I presented this motion today because I believe this is such an excellent idea for our chapter. Recently, we have been focusing on being able to expand our horizons and really learn as much as possible about FFA and the agriculture field as a whole. Being able to visit a neighboring state in their FFA chapter could really open up our eyes and teach us new skills that we could bring back to our own FFA chapter to make us as successful as possible. For our chapter's benefit, pass this motion.
Madam Chairman.
Leah, obviously I'm against this main motion. I have already objected to this. Do we even have enough money to send our FFA members to a neighboring state? And if so, do we have the transportation for this? We need to figure out these things before we get and act on this motion. Vote no.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Bailey.
This is a motion that I can support. Our FFA chapter recently had our biggest fundraising project of the year, our annual FFA Hog Roast, where we raised a lot of money. We would definitely be able to participate in this chapter exchange program, and I think it would be very beneficial for our student as well as whatever student we get from this other state. So pass this main motion.
Madam Chairman.
Morgan.
I simply cannot support this main motion. Which state are we going to be sending a student to? We have yet to figure this out. Also, we have not even spoken to our ag advisors to see if we have permission to send one of our students away and receive another one. Please fail this main motion.
Madam Chairman,
Nikki.
I will stand behind this motion. Our agriculture in central Missouri is so diverse. Like, we have soybeans and corn growing next to each other, and not many states see that. It would be a prime opportunity for us to go and experience a new type of agriculture. Since we are in the middle of the United States, we have plenty of states to go and visit, such as Oklahoma or Illinois. Our chapter needs to take opportunity of this motion and pass it.
Madam Chairman.
Morgan.
I move to amend this main motion by striking out the word in a neighboring state and insert Oklahoma, so that if passed, the motion reads that our chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in Oklahoma.
Second. It has been moved and seconded that we amend the main motion by striking out the words in a neighboring state and inserting the words, by striking out the words a neighboring state and inserting the word Oklahoma, so that if passed, the motion would read that our chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in Oklahoma. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chairman.
Morgan.
The reason I presented this amendment today is because it really helps modify our main motion. One of our ag advisors, Mr. Twinner, is a recent alum from Oklahoma State University. I'm sure he would be able to get in contact with FFA chapters in Oklahoma and really get this program run up and running. Please pass this amendment.
Madam Chairman.
Patty.
I lend my full support on this amendment. Last year, we took our top 30 member awards trip to the state of Oklahoma. We were able to visit FFA chapters in Oklahoma, such as the Kingfisher FFA, and we were also able to tour other landmarks there. This state has so much diversity and so many different options than what we see in Missouri. It would really help our members. Please pass this amendment.
Madam Chairman.
Nikki.
This amendment needs to pass. Oklahoma is not far away. It is less than 10 hours, so it would not cost our chapter much money to get a student there and back. This would benefit our chapter. It is in a neighboring state, and I know that parents would allow their students to travel that far because we have traveled further than that. Students have gone to Alabama to go to the beach for their top 30 trip, so this should not be a problem. Pass this amendment.
Madam Chairman.
Bailey, this amendment, I can get behind it. Having this already narrowed down to what state we are doing this exchange program with will allow for us to contact them more quickly. We can already get this worked out and get moving on this motion, so pass this amendment.
Madam Chairman.
Leah.
I have to rise in opposition of this amendment. We still do not know how long this is actually going to take and if we actually have transportation to this. We have not contacted our bus barns to see if we can actually go to Oklahoma. For this reason, we have to fail this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. All those in favor of amending the motion by striking out the words "a neighboring state" and inserting the word Oklahoma, so that if passed, the motion would read that our chapter will organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in Oklahoma, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
The amendment carries. Our main motion now reads that the chapter will organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in Oklahoma. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chairman. Request for information.
State your request.
Will there be a guest speaker on this topic?
No, Bailey, we will not be hearing from a guest speaker on this topic today.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman.
Nikki.
I move to postpone this main motion to our next scheduled meeting.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we postpone the main motion to our next scheduled meeting. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chairman.
Nikki.
The reason I propose this postponement today is that an assembly member has expressed concerns with speaking to our advisors, and if we postpone this to our November meeting, it would give us a chance to go and speak with our advisors and ask them to contact their contacts in Oklahoma to see if we could do this exchange program. Please pass this postponement.
Madam Chairman.
Leah.
This is the perfect motion for this main motion. By postponing this will give us plenty of time to ask our advisors. I will personally ask our bus barn to get a bus and to see what money there is to have on this trip. For this reason, we have to postpone this main motion.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Hattie.
I will not be voting yes on this postponement. Postponing this motion to our next meeting is not a good idea. At our next meeting, we have a guest speaker coming from the Highway Patrol to talk about road safety. We also only have 25 minutes in our meetings, and we would not have enough time for this report to be sufficient on this main motion. Please vote no.
Madam Chairman.
Bailey.
I cannot be in favor of this postponement. We do not need to delay action on this motion. We need to get in communication with Oklahoma and make sure that our members know exactly what we're doing if we were to go through with this motion. So fail this postponement.
I
Madam
have a
Chairman.
question of privilege affecting the assembly.
State your question.
It is hot in here. May we please have the temperature turned down?
Leah, the temperature is sufficient. The chair denies your request.
Madam Chairman.
Morgan.
I cannot support this postponement. Our next meeting is November 2nd, and I will simply be out of town due to a college day. I want to be able to vote on this motion today to make sure it passes. Please fail this postponement.
Madam Chairman.
Nikki.
I move the previous question on this postponement.
Second. The previous question has been moved and seconded on this postponement. This motion requires a 2/3 vote because it restricts the rights of the minority. All those in favor of the previous question and ending debate on the postponement, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. Opposed, same sign. The previous question carries. Debate has now ended, and we must vote on this postponement. All those in favor of postponing the motion to our next scheduled meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
The postponement is defeated.
Madam Chairman.
Hattie.
I move to extend debate to an unlimited number of debates per member on this main motion.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we extend debate to an unlimited number of debate per member on this main motion. Let me remind the Assembly that this motion does require a 2/3 vote. This motion is not debatable but is amendable. Are there any amendments? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. All those in favor of extending debate to an unlimited number of debate per member on this main motion, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Be seated. The motion to extend debate is defeated.
Madam Chairman.
Bailey.
Since we have time constraints on this meeting and still have many items on our agenda, I move that when the meeting adjourn, it adjourn to meet at the call of the chair.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we fix time which to adjourn to at the call of the chair. This privileged motion is not debatable but is amendable. Are there any amendments? Hearing no amendments, we will proceed to vote. All those in favor of meeting at the call of the chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion to fix time which to adjourn carries. When we adjourn, we stand adjourned until the call of the chair.
Madam Chairman,
Patty.
I continue to lend my support on this main motion. Part of the FFA motto is learning to do. What better way to expand on this idea than going to Oklahoma and really being able to see what they have to offer and better our members' outlook? Please pass this motion.
Madam Chairman.
Bailey, I am still in favor of this main motion. Our Eldon FFA chapter is in the top 3 chapters in Missouri with our members. So having this for our chapter would be perfect, and I urge the Assembly to pass this main motion.
Madam Chairman.
Nikki.
This motion has my continuous support. I will take the liberty of talking to our advisors about developing an application process to see which student we would exchange with Oklahoma, and we would contact Oklahoma schools and see if they would be willing to do this program. Pass this motion.
Madam Chairman.
Morgan.
With the passing of the amendment, I am now able to lend my full support to this motion. What better way to get our Eldon FFA name out in the town than doing this chapter exchange program? Please pass this main motion.
Madam Chairman,
Leah.
no one here has caused me to change my mind on this main motion. We have a budget in our chapter. We cannot go over that. For this reason, vote no.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the chapter organizing a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in Oklahoma, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say saying no?
No.
Is there any new business? The main motion carries. The amended main motion carries. Is there any new business? Hearing none, I now declare the meeting adjourned. Members, we will be meeting again in 45 minutes to have an adjourned meeting. Please rise for questioning.
All right, good afternoon. Congratulations on having earned the right to be here in the finals today. As you know, we have two rounds of questions for you. Let's begin with the member whose assigned motion was postponed definitely.
That was me, sir.
If a main motion is postponed definitely to the next chapter meeting, what does it become at that meeting?
At that meeting, it becomes an unfinished business.
Second, where would it appear on the agenda for that meeting?
At the next meeting, that motion that was postponed definitely would be under unfinished business and general orders.
And lastly, if a main motion is postponed definitely and made a special order for the next chapter meeting, where does it appear on the agenda for that meeting?
If a motion is postponed to the next meeting as a special order, then it is taken up under special orders in the agenda.
Thank you.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Madam Secretary,
Yes, ma'am.
limit or extend limits of debate. I got a couple of questions for you, and this first one is a little long.
Okay.
So bear with me. The motion to limit or extend limits of debate is a very flexible motion. Robert's Rules of Order lists 4 individual forms of this motion depending on the desired object of what you're trying to accomplish. Can you name those?
Could you repeat the second half of that, please?
You bet. I'll start with the good part.
Okay.
Roberts lists 4 individual forms of this motion to limit or extend limits of debate depending on the desired object. Can you name them?
You can limit the length of debate, limit the number of debates, extend the time of debate, and extend limit the number of debates, limit the time on debate, extend the number of debates, and extend the time on debates.
Okay. One more question.
Okay.
What term is used to describe when an order limiting or extending the limits of debate finally ceases to be in force?
When that occurs and it ceases to exist, it would mean the motion was exhausted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the maker of the request for information.
That was me, sir.
To which class of motions does request for information belong?
Request for information is in the incidental motions.
And request for information is grouped with other motions as a request and inquiries. There are 5 items listed as requests and inquiries. Please list 3 of the 5.
3 of those 5 requests and inquiries are parliamentary inquiry, request to read the papers, and request to withdraw, leave, or modify.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Who had object to the consideration of the question?
That was me, ma'am.
Okay. What vote is required to sustain an objection?
An objection, it takes a 2/3 negative vote to sustain an objection.
Okay? And if the objection is sustained, what is its effect on the main motion?
An object's effect on the main motion is that you don't want to hear it, you want to kill it, or you don't want to hear any debate on it.
Okay? Thank you.
And to the maker of the rescind.
That was me, sir.
Assume a member proposes to rescind a main motion. Robert's Rules of Order newly revised lists 3 types of votes that can be used to adopt the motion to rescind. Please list the votes required to adopt rescind.
Okay, there's a 2/3 vote, a majority vote of the entire membership, or a 2/3 vote, or a majority of the entire membership, or if it was verbally presented or submitted in writing, it would take a majority vote.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
as the chair, it is your responsibility to remain impartial. However, as a member of the organization, do you have the right to participate in debate on a motion?
Yes, sir. The chair does have right to participate in debate on a main motion. However, if the chair does choose to debate on a main motion, they must relinquish the duties of the chair for the duration of that motion.
Okay, so to be clear, how can the chair participate in debate? Please.
The chair can only participate in debate if they relinquish the duties of the chair, so the chair would not be presiding at the time.
And for how long does the chair relinquish those duties?
For the duration of that motion, until that motion is gone, until they're not on the motion anymore.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes our first round of questions. We have just a few questions for clarification. I'd like to begin. I need a little help in terms of scheduling. I need to know where we are with respect to the various meetings that the chapter has scheduled. I understood that the chapter's next regularly scheduled meeting is to be held on November 2nd.
Yes, sir.
And I also understood that the adoption of the motion to fix the time to which to adjourn empowered the chair to call the adjourned meeting.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And Madam Chair, you did that for a time certain of 45 minutes from adjournment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if I'm clear on all that, and all that's accurate, then why did we adjourn the meeting with no other business pending? So if everything you just told me was correct, then what business is left for 45 minutes from now? Because I understood you to say you adjourned the meeting for lack of other business.
We had I had personally recently been approached by our athletic director, Mr. Henderson, and we had discussed this prior, and we knew that he wanted us to bring up business about landscaping the hillside by our football field. And since we had not yet taken care of that, and I assume it slipped the Assembly's mind, so we were going to take care of that in the adjourned meeting.
And
Okay.
we had time constraints on our meeting today, so we did not have time to bring up that business at this meeting. We had to take care of the business at this meeting that we had today.
Okay, thank you.
I'm curious to the purpose for making the motion to extend debate. At that point in the meeting, no member had exhausted their limits of debate on the main motion, and by the end of the meeting, no member had exhausted a couple had their 2 discussions, but there was no need for additional discussion. So what was the purpose behind that motion?
Yes, sir. At that point, when I made the motion to extend debate, I knew that this was a motion that really had a lot of different details and really had some issues with I had heard concerns from the Assembly, and I figured there would be extra discussion needed and that more people would want to debate. But by the time we got to the end, I realized that wouldn't be necessary, so it failed from the Assembly. But at that point, that's why I made it.
And another way we could have had unlimited number of debates on that motion was to move into a committee of the whole. However, I believe you wanted to move extend debate on the main motion only.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
At this time, we will provide a few moments for judge scoring and stage reset. If you need to exit the auditorium, please do so at this time. I would also like to remind you that this event is being live tweeted with the hashtag SuperBowlLDE. Good afternoon. If you are just now joining us, I ask that you adhere to a few simple rules. Please take a moment to silence all electronic devices, including cell phones. I also ask that you stay quiet and seated in your seat during the presentation. If you do need to leave the auditorium, please wait to do so until after the presentation. Thank you for your cooperation. This is to ensure that all teams are provided with a fair environment. With a courtesy core, please secure all of the doors and hallways. Are our judges ready? Our second team is from the Galt Liberty Ranch FFA chapter in the state of California. Team members include Brittany Thompson, Victoria Powell, Alexis Lumpton, Hannah Edwards, Ian Jeffries, and Brooke Gilstrap.
Is there any further business which should come before the Assembly at this time?
Madam Chair,
Ian.
with previous notice given, I move to rescind the motion adopted at our last meeting that our chapter hold a bicycle safety program.
Second. It has been moved and seconded to rescind the motion adopted at our last meeting that our chapter hold a bicycle safety program. Previous notice was given. Is there any debate?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Ian.
I move to rescind this motion due to liability concerns. Yes, it would be a great idea to make sure that our members are safe when riding a bicycle. However, I'm concerned that our chapter might be sued if there were any issues with this event. I urge the Assembly to vote yes.
Is there any further discussion on the rescind? All those in favor of rescinding this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The ayes have it, motion passes. We will rescind this motion. Is there any new business?
Madam Chair,
Tori.
I move that the chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state.
I object to the consideration of the question.
The question has been objected to. All those in favor of considering the question, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. All opposed, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. With 4 in favor and 1 in opposition, motion passes. We will consider the question. Debate on the main motion?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Tori.
I made this motion simply for the fact of the matter that California is so different in the sense of our leadership opportunities. If we were to go to a different chapter in another state, say as in Nevada, we would get to see their conferences. Where we hold Made for Excellence, they hold 180 conferences. Let's see what there is out there. Vote yes.
Debate?
Madam Chair,
Brooke.
there are too many logistical issues with this motion. Which of our neighboring states are we going to be attending? Oregon, Nevada, Arizona? I don't know. How much is it going to cost from our chapter to be transporting our members all the way across state lines? There's just too many logistical issues for us to make a valid argument. Vote no.
Madam Chair. Lexi.
I'm afraid that our state is so different from other neighboring states that we may not be able to provide them the means of the exchange program that they're looking for. We need to be focusing on our members and our California standards. Help me in failing this motion.
Madam Chair.
Ian.
I'd like to contradict the previous speaker's point. Yes, we have very many differences between the different states, but that's exactly why we need to hold this exchange program. We need to be making sure that while we can together make a difference in agriculture, it is only by cooperating and working together, exchanging ideas, that we can do so. Vote yes.
Madam Chair,
Hannah.
and it's not just about exchanging ideas with neighboring states, it's also about showing our parents that we care about our students. As a parent, wouldn't it be great if you saw that we were investing in making sure that your chapter, that your student got a wider perspective because of the work that we do? If we want to make sure that our parents see that we invest in our students, we can't fail this motion. Vote yes.
We are on the main motion. Is there any discussion?
Question of privilege, Madam Chair.
State your question.
May we acquire seating for the FFA members standing in the back of the room?
As that would disrupt the flow of the meeting, I'm afraid the chair will have to deny your request. However, at our next break, the chair will look into acquiring additional seating.
I appeal from the decision of the chair.
Second. The chair's decision has been appealed from. All those in favor of upholding the decision of the chair, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have it, motion passes. We will sustain the chair's decision. Discussion on the main motion.
Madam Chair,
Brooke?
I move to postpone this matter indefinitely.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to postpone this matter indefinitely. Is there any debate?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Brooke.
We also need to think about the insurance issues that our parents might be having with this motion. If we're going to be taking their students across state lines, what's that going to mean if maybe one of those students got hurt or they got lost on this trip? We just can't simply make this decision with keeping our parents and our students' safety in mind. Vote yes.
Madam Chair.
Ian.
Our chapter's theme this year is Bridge the Gaps. While we intentionally focus this around our community, let's bridge the gaps between California FFA and those neighboring states around us. Let's make sure that we are bridging the gaps between all forms of the FFA, not just California FFA. Vote no on the postponement.
Madam Chair.
Tori.
I move to limit debate to one debate per person on this pending motion.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to limit debate to one debate per person on this pending motion. This motion is non-debatable but amendable. Are there any amendments? Seeing none, we will proceed to a vote. All those in favor of limiting debate, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. All opposed, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. With 5 in favor and none in opposition, motion passes. We will limit debate. Debate on the postponement?
Madam Chair.
Tori.
Our chapter simply cannot afford to postpone this matter. If we were to think about California agriculture as a whole, the Secretary of Agriculture, Karen Ross, stated that we need to fill over 100,000 jobs to sustain California agriculture. How are we going to do this? It's about learning new techniques and following up with new technology. Neighboring states can help with this. Fail the postponement.
Madam Chair,
Hannah.
I've heard a lot of members of the Assembly having concerns about cutting through red tape when it comes to insurance and other logistics. But let's think about this. We finally have someone to organize that. Our student teacher, Mrs. Calistini. She recently came on and she's looking for more experience, and she could really help facilitate the process. We have the means. Let's not pass up a great opportunity. Vote no on the postponement.
Madam Chair.
Lexi.
While I'm not in full support of this motion, I cannot lend my hand of support to this postponement indefinitely. I think it would be an amazing opportunity for one of our state officer candidates, hopefully this year, Hannah Edwards, to maybe host one of these members to exchange ideas, exchange perspectives, and get some insight on what it's like to be from a neighboring state full of diversity. That's what we strive for here in California. Help me in failing the postponement.
Is there any further discussion on the postponement? Seeing none, we will proceed to a vote. All those in favor of postponing this matter indefinitely, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
No.
The noes have it, motion fails. We will not postpone this matter. Discussion on the main motion?
Point of information, Madam Chair.
State your point.
Have we sent members out of state before?
Yes, we have for National Convention. Further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Lexi.
I move to postpone this matter to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to postpone this matter to our next regularly scheduled meeting. Is there any debate?
Madam Chair.
Lexi.
I believe that if we want to make this a success and an opportunity that is willing to put our effort into, I think we need to look into the logistics, which would occur in this month gap from our next regularly scheduled meeting. I believe that if we want to have Hannah Edwards host one of these visiting members from another chapter, from another state, I think this is what we need to do and make sure that this is successful for our chapter. Help me in voting yes.
Madam Chair.
Tori.
Procrastination will lead us nowhere. Let's look at the Assembly today. We have committee chairmen such as Colton Smith and Ag Advisory members such as Tiffany Moffitt. They're here. They want to make a decision now. Let's not wait. Vote no.
Madam Chair.
Brooke.
Next chapter meeting, we have a completely full agenda with our project-based learning committee sharing a committee report about their recent industry tours as well as our blacklight dodgeball activity. We do not need to be wasting our Assembly's time with a motion that's frankly unnecessary. Vote no.
Madam Chair.
Ian.
If this motion were to pass, it would go into our minutes, which are fully accessible to all of our chapter supporters. How would our chapter supporters feel after they are constantly donating for us to provide more opportunities to our members if we see that we're hesitating on motions that would provide even more opportunities that very few chapter members get to experience? I urge the Assembly to vote no.
Madam Chair.
Hannah.
We have been informed that we have sent members out of state before, so we know that it's going to take time and it's going to take money, which takes time to fundraise. If we put this off for another month, I just don't see how we could get this together. Vote no on the postponement.
Is there any further discussion on the postponement?
Madam Chair.
Ian.
I move previous question.
Second. Previous question has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of moving previous question, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. All opposed, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. With 5 in favor and none in opposition, motion passes. We will proceed to vote on the postponement. All those in favor of postponing this matter to our next regularly scheduled meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
No.
The noes have it. Motion fails. We will not postpone this matter. Debate on the main motion.
Madam Chair.
Brooke.
Recently, our school board has expressed disconcern with our chapter as they feel we're not focusing enough on service and rather focusing too much on our members. If we pass this motion and show them that, again, we're only caring about our members and their success and their experiences, what's that going to say to them and to our community? Vote no.
Madam Chair.
Hannah.
How would the school board be upset if we were investing in student growth? The purpose of our chapter is career success and building leaders. And leaders have to be able to communicate, especially with people they don't know that well. This exchange program could help our students grow in that field and could make them better prepared for the future. I don't see how the school board could have a problem with that. Vote yes.
Madam Chair.
Tori.
I agree with the previous speaker, and I'd like to add on to the fact we're not just sending someone to a neighboring state. An exchange program means we're going to be receiving someone from another state coming to our chapter. We're going to be learning from them, and the person that's going off to their chapter can come back and help tell our chapter all the different things that they learned. It's a leadership experience. There's no wrong. Vote yes.
Madam Chair.
Lexi.
I think for this motion, we need to not think with our hearts, but with our minds. If we are not able to have the right means of making this event successful for our chapter, time to look into who's going to be exchanging with who, we cannot risk the perception of our chapter. Help me in failing this motion.
Are you ready for the question? The question is that the chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have it, motion passes. Our chapter will organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state. Is there any further business? Special announcements? Seeing none, meeting is adjourned.
Well, good afternoon. Congratulations on having made the final round.
Thank you.
As you know, we have 2 rounds of questions for you today. Let's begin with the member whose assigned motion was postponed definitely.
Yes.
Your question's in 3 parts today. If a main motion is postponed definitely to the next chapter meeting, what does it become at that meeting?
Can you repeat the question, please?
If a main motion is postponed definitely to the next chapter meeting, what does it become at that meeting?
This motion would fall under unfinished business, so therefore, after the order of business goes down to unfinished business, we would take up our motion that we postponed.
Okay, so part 2, help me with that. Where would it appear on the agenda for that meeting?
It would be in unfinished business, which is before new business and after special orders.
And lastly, if a main motion is postponed definitely and made a special order for the next chapter meeting, where does it appear on the agenda for that meeting?
Could you please ask the question again?
If a main motion is postponed definitely and made a special order for the next chapter meeting, where does it appear on the agenda for that meeting?
Since the postponed motion is made a special order, it would fall under the category of special orders.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Madam Secretary, I believe that you had limit or extend limits of debate.
Yes.
Okay. The motion to limit or extend limits of debate is a very flexible motion. Robert's Rules of Order lists 4 individual forms of this motion which can be made depending on the desired object. Name them.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. The motion to limit or extend limits of debate is a very flexible motion. Robert's Rules of Order lists 4 individual forms of this motion depending on the desired objective. Name those.
Robert's Rules of Order refers to these different forms as the length of speeches, the number of speeches, time to close debate, and it would be the time at which a certain member would be done debating, and that would be moved in the form such as I move to close debate in 15 minutes, I move to limit debate to 5 debates per person, or referring to the motion as a whole limiting the debate.
Thank you very much. And what term is used to describe when an order limiting or extending the limits of debate finally ceases to be in force?
When the order to limit or extend debate is ceased to be enforced, it's normally referred to as being exhausted.
Thank you. Go ahead.
To the member who had request for information,
Yes.
to which class of motions does request for information belong?
This would belong to incidental motions.
Request for information is grouped with other motions as a requests and inquiries. There are 5 items listed as requests and inquiries. Please list 3 of the 5.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Request for information is grouped with other motions as a requests and inquiries. There are 5 items listed as requests and inquiries. Please list 3 of the 5.
Three of the 5 would obviously be point of information, parliamentary inquiry, and question of privilege.
Thank you.
Who had object to the consideration of the question?
That'd be me.
There you go. Okay. What vote is required to sustain the objection when making this motion?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. What vote is required to sustain the objection when making the motion object to the consideration of the question?
The vote to sustain an objection would have to be 2/3 of the members present against considering the main question.
Okay. And if the objection is sustained, what is its effect on the main motion?
Its effect would be complete rejection of the main motion, and it would not come before the assembly within that meeting.
Thank you very much.
To the maker of rescind.
Yes, sir.
Assume a member proposes to rescind a main motion. Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, lists 3 types of votes that can be used to adopt the motion to rescind. Please list the votes required to adopt rescind.
In order to adopt a rescind depends on whether or not previous notice was given. If previous notice was given, then a simple majority of the members present is required. If previous notice was not given, then it takes either 2/3 vote of the members present or a majority of the entire membership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
as the chair, it is your duty to remain impartial. However, as a member of the organization, do you have the right to participate in debate on a main motion?
I am a member of the society as the chairman, therefore I can debate on the main motion. However, if I wish to debate on that main motion, then I would have to relinquish the chair to either the highest ranking vice president who has not spoken on the question yet and who does not want to speak on the question, and then I would relinquish the chair, debate on the motion, and then come back to the chair once that pending business is finished.
So if the presiding officer relinquishes the chair, when should the chair return to the chair's position?
The chair would return back to the chair when all the pending business that they wanted to debate on is finished.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll have a brief round of clarification questions now from all 3 of our judges. I'd like to begin by asking about the very first thing that happened, and that was a motion to rescind an item of previous action that was taken. The maker of that motion, sir, I believe was you. You indicated that previous notice had been given for that motion. How does one do that? How does one provide previous notice?
May I address this question?
Sure.
Previous notice may be given either orally or written format at the previous meeting, or it may be sent out in the call of the meeting.
And what's the effect of that notice on the vote?
On the vote, it would reduce it from either a majority of the entire membership or 2/3 of the members present and voting down to a simple majority of the members present and voting.
And you indicated that notice could be oral or written?
At the previous meeting, yes.
Okay. What if notice is provided by some means other than at the previous meeting?
It could be given at the call of the chair, which would have the same effect on the vote.
At the call
of the meeting, I'm sorry.
Which would have what effect on the vote?
It would reduce the vote from 2/3 of the members present and voting or majority of the entire membership down to a simple majority.
Okay, thank you.
You got any? Yeah. I actually do have a question. Madam Secretary, you moved to limit debate to one opportunity for everyone to speak on the motion, yet each of you spoke twice on the main motion. How was that possible?
Could you repeat that, please?
Sure. You moved to limit debate so that each member could speak one time on the pending question. And yet, on my score chart here, I see that each of you spoke twice on the main motion. Why is that?
Yes, because I ordered the limit debate on the pending motion of postpone indefinitely. So the main motion was not affected by that. It would still be the 2 debates per person for 10 minutes each.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that concludes our second round. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We will now provide a few moments for scoring and stage reset. If you must exit the auditorium, please do so at this time. Good afternoon. If you are just now joining us, I'm going to ask you to adhere to a few simple rules. First off, please take a moment to silence or turn off all electronic devices, including cell phones. Next, I ask that while you are seated, you remain seated through the duration of this presentation. If you must leave, please wait until the end of the presentation. This is going to ensure that all teams are provided with a fair environment. Thank you for your cooperation. With a courtesy core, please secure the doors. Are the judges ready? Our third team is from the CUNA FFA chapter in the state of Idaho. Team members include Mason Roberts, Jenny Ball, Emberly Strobel, Katie Hedinga, Shyla Flavel, and Savannah Strobel.
Is there any new business that should be presented at this time?
Madam Chairman.
Jenny.
I move to rescind the motion that our chapter hold a bicycle safety program.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to rescind the motion to hold a bicycle safety program. Is there debate?
Madam Chairman.
Jenny.
Between our last meeting and now, I have discovered that the National Honor Society is also hosting a bicycle safety program, and so this would not be good if we would duplicate it. In addition, we have insufficient funds to be able to put on this activity, so please vote in favor of this rescind.
Is there any further debate regarding the motion to rescind? Debate? Hearing none, we shall proceed to vote. Since this motion was given previous notice, we shall take a majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no.
No.
Motion fails. We shall not rescind. Is there any further business which should be presented at this time?
Madam Chairman.
Katie.
I move that the chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state.
Second. It has been moved and seconded that the chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state. Is there debate?
I object to the consideration of the question.
The consideration of the question has been objected to. Shall we consider the question? All those in favor of considering the question, please rise. Thank you. You may be seated. All opposed, please rise. Thank you. May be seated. Since there are less than 2/3 in the opposition, we shall consider the question. Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Madam Chairman,
Katie.
as the maker of this motion, I am in favor of it. A chapter exchange program would be a wonderful way for the CUNA FFA chapter to get out there and find out about more agricultural opportunities, not just in our area. We could fundraise for this by holding produce sales in our chapter and inviting many of our freshman members so they can get more involved. Please pass the main motion.
Madam Chairman.
Mason.
I disagree with the maker of this motion. The closest state to our chapter is Oregon, which would take us 2 to 3 hours to get to that chapter. Also, our chapter is low on funds and will not be able to afford to travel that far. Also, we have a large district and need to get to know those chapters in our district better before we reach out to different states. Therefore, I encourage the Assembly to fail this motion.
Madam Chairman.
Shyla.
I wish to speak against this main motion. It would be extremely difficult to select members to go on this trip to visit a neighboring state. Furthermore, getting another state involved in this might be difficult as well, as their schedule might conflict with ours. Please fail this main motion.
Madam Chairman.
Emberly.
I encourage the Assembly to pass this main motion. This will be a great idea for our chapter to get a little more culturally educated. I hear a lot of the time that, from other states when we go to things such as National Convention that there are a lot of things our state does that their state does not, and this would be a great way for us to learn about what other states do that we don't. Pass the main motion.
Madam Chairman.
Jenny.
I am in favor of this motion. We could host a donkey basketball game to help raise funds for this event. In addition, we could use a charter bus to help the students get to and from the different states so that we could lower the costs. Please vote in favor of this motion.
Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Madam Chairman,
Emberly.
I move to amend the main motion by adding the words "in May."
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to amend the main motion by adding the words "in May." So if passed, the motion would read that our chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state in May. Is there debate?
Madam Chairman.
Emberly.
I encourage the Assembly to pass this amendment. May would be a great time because it's the start of summer and we go on a lot of trips during summer. Our students would be able to possibly travel to the Washington Leadership Conference in over the summer with this chapter, and they would also get to experience a lot of things, seeing as we wouldn't be busy with school and finals and things like that going on. Pass the amendment.
Madam Chairman.
Katie.
I disagree with the maker of this amendment. May is not the right time for this chapter exchange program, seeing as we will be preparing for our CDE competitions coming up in June, and also we will have no time to fundraise or plan out this event because we will be recovering from our state leadership conference in April. Please fail the amendment.
Madam Chairman.
Mason.
I agree with the previous speaker. Many students will be getting ready for their CDEs, and many seniors will be presenting their senior projects so that they can graduate. Also, they have seniors have their finals during this month, so they're going to be preparing for those, so they will not have time to go and visit this chapter. Therefore, I encourage the Assembly to fail this amendment.
Is there any further debate on the motion to amend? Debate? Hearing none, we shall proceed to vote. All those in favor of amending the main motion by adding the words "in May," please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no.
No.
Motion fails. We shall not amend.
I call for division of the Assembly.
Division has been called, which forces a rising vote. All those in favor of amending the main motion by adding the words "in May," please rise. Thank you. You may be seated. All opposed, please rise. Thank you. You may be seated. The amendment fails. 2 in favor, 3 against. Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Request for information.
Please state your request.
How would we decide which students would get to go be a part of this chapter exchange?
Madam Maker of the motion, would you care to yield your time?
Yes. A good way to decide which FFA members would go to the neighboring state would be an application process that our advisory committee would help us with.
Thank you. Is there any further debate?
Madam Chairman.
Shyla.
I move to limit debate to 5 minutes per speaker.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to limit debate to 5 minutes per speaker. This is not debatable, but it is amendable. Are there any amendments? Amendments? Hearing none, we shall proceed to take a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of limiting debate, please rise. Thank you. You may be seated. All opposed, please rise. Thank you. You may be seated. Limit debate fails. 1 in favor, 4 against. Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Madam Chairman.
Jenny.
I move to refer this motion to a committee of 3 appointed by the chair appointed by the chair, with the power to investigate and report back at our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to refer this motion to a committee of 3 appointed by the chair appointed by the chair, with the power to investigate and report back at our next regularly scheduled meeting. Is there debate?
Madam Chairman.
Jenny.
I am in favor of this motion. This committee could see if we are financially stable to host this, to do this motion, as well as we'd be able to talk to
other advisors around the state to see if they would be willing and wanting to do this event. Please vote in favor of this motion.
Madam Chairman. Mason.
I agree with the maker of this motion. They could look into how much vans would cost or a school bus and see if our chapter would be able to afford this. Also, we could find which chapter we'd like to visit and learn a little bit about their chapter and their facilities before we visit them, so we have some background knowledge. Therefore, I encourage the Assembly to pass this referral.
Madam Chairman,
Shyla.
I implore the Assembly to vote against this referral. As the future of the chapter, we should be able to make this decision right now. Furthermore, the committee doesn't feel as passionate about this subject as we do, so we need to make this decision rather than the committee. Please help me in failing this referral.
Is there any further debate on the referral? Debate? Hearing none, we shall proceed to vote. All those in favor of referring this motion to a committee of 3 appointed by the chair appointed by the chair, with the power to investigate and report back at our next regularly scheduled meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no.
No.
Motion fails. We shall not refer. Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Madam Chairman.
Katie.
I move to postpone this motion to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to postpone this motion to our next regularly scheduled meeting. Is there debate?
Madam Chairman.
Katie.
As the maker of this postponement, I am in favor of it. Our next meeting, our agenda is a lot clearer, and we'll be able to gather information between this meeting and the next so that we can make a really informed decision and see what a chapter exchange program would entail for our chapter. Please pass the postponement.
Madam Chairman. Emberly.
I rise strongly against this postponement. At our next regularly scheduled meeting, we need to start talking about our upcoming canned food drive and produce sales, so our agenda will be very full. In addition, our high school is having a junior class meeting at the same time, so all of our juniors will not be in attendance and not able to put their input on this motion. Please fail the postponement.
Madam Chairman. Mason.
I disagree with the maker of this motion. At our next month's meeting, we're going to be discussing our chicken sales and trying to get those together. Also, many seniors will be presenting their senior projects the following week and need to be working on those. Therefore, I encourage the Assembly to fail this postponement.
Madam Chairman,
Shyla.
I wish to speak against this postponement. We need to make a decision now in order to get this motion where it needs to be. Furthermore, we have the resources to make a decision as we need to do. Please help me in failing this postponement.
Is there any further debate on the postponement? Debate? Hearing none, we shall proceed to vote. All those in favor of postponing this motion to our next regularly scheduled meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no.
No.
Motion fails. We shall not postpone. Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Madam Chairman.
Jenny.
I am in favor of this motion. We could have them come out during our state convention so they could see what our CDEs are like and how are they different from their own. In addition, we could pair people up with people that are the same age as them and like to do the same CDEs that they do. Please vote in favor of this motion.
Madam Chairman,
Shyla.
I wish once again to speak against this main motion. The money that we would be using for this program would be much better used towards scholarships for our members. Furthermore, we could learn more about chapters in our state that differ very differently from ours first than we need to do about other states. Please fail this main motion.
Madam Chairman.
Emberly.
I again encourage the Assembly to pass the main motion. During our scholarship auction, we raised about $49,000, and we could put some of this money into sending our students and buying plane tickets or the travel costs that it would cost to do this motion. In addition, we could consider having students room with other students from other states. That way they could make friendships that would last a lifetime. Pass the main motion.
Madam Chairman.
Katie.
I would again wish to speak in favor of my main motion. A chapter exchange program is an amazing opportunity for our chapter to really get out there across national FFA, not just our state organization. We could invite our green hands so that they get more involved and make lasting friendships, and then they go on to National Convention and Washington Leadership Conference with these friends that they meet through this program. In addition, we can use the funds from the scholarship auction, or we can fundraise with other things such as t-shirt sales and other fundraiser events that we could hold. This would be a wonderful leadership opportunity for our chapter officers to plan and for our other chapter members to participate in. Please pass the main motion.
Is there further debate on the main motion? Debate? Hearing none, we shall proceed to vote. All those in favor that our chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in neighboring states, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no.
No.
The motion passes. Is there any further business?
Madam Chairman.
Mason.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. We stand adjourned. Please rise for questioning.
All right, good afternoon. Congratulations on having made the final round.
Thank you.
As you know, we have two sets of questions for you, beginning today with the member whose assigned motion was postponed definitely.
That was my motion.
Okay. 3 parts to your question. If a main motion is postponed definitely to the next chapter meeting, what does it become at that meeting?
At that meeting, it becomes a general order.
Second, where would it appear on the agenda for that meeting?
It would appear under unfinished business and general orders.
And lastly, if a main motion is postponed definitely and made a special order for the next chapter meeting, where does it appear on the agenda for that meeting?
It appears under special orders on that agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Madam Secretary, your turn.
Yes.
This one is lengthy, okay? The motion to limit or extend limits of debate is a very flexible motion. Robert's Rules of Order lists 4 individual forms of this motion depending on the desired objective. Can you name them?
Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. The motion to limit or extend limits of debate is a very flexible motion. Roberts lists 4 individual forms of this motion depending on the desired objective of the maker. Can you name them?
The number of times that a member may debate, the length of time they have to debate, the length of time that debate will last, and the time that debate will end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And nope, one more. Not so fast. What term is used to describe when an order limiting or extended the limits of debate finally ceases to be in force?
The term used would be exhausted.
Thank you.
To the maker of request for information.
That was my motion.
To which class of motions does request for information belong?
The motion to request for information belongs under the class of motions requests and inquiries.
Requests for information is grouped with other motions as requests and inquiries. There are 5 items listed as requests and inquiries. Can you please list 3 of the 5?
Yes, that would be requests for reading papers, requests to withdraw a motion, and parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you.
Okay. Who had object to the consideration?
That was my motion.
I believe that was you, sir, yes. What vote would be required to sustain the objection?
Could you please repeat the question?
Sure. What vote is required to sustain the objection?
A 2/3 vote.
You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
So it's a 2/3 vote unless it's, unless there was notice before the meeting, then it would be a majority vote.
Okay. If the objection is sustained, what is its effect on the main motion?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
If the objection is sustained, what is its effect on the main motion?
There's no effect on the main motion, it just goes away.
Okay, thank you.
To the maker of rescind.
That was my motion.
Assume a member proposes to rescind a main motion. Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, lists 3 types of votes that can be used to adopt the motion to rescind. Please list the votes required to adopt rescind.
The votes that are required to adopt or rescind are unanimous consent, 2/3, and majority with previous notice.
Thank you.
And for the chair.
Yes, sir.
As the chair, it is your duty to remain impartial. However, as a member of the organization, do you have the right to participate in debate on a main motion?
Can you please repeat the question?
As the chair, it is your duty to remain impartial. However, as a member of the organization, do you have the right to participate in debate on a main motion?
Yes.
How can the chair participate in debate?
The chair can step down and let the vice president take over the podium to debate.
And lastly, if the presiding officer relinquishes the chair, when should the presiding officer return to the chair's position?
After the motion they debated on has been passed or failed and they are no longer debating, they can take the podium once again.
Okay. That concludes our first round of questions. We have just a brief round now of potentially some clarification questions. I'd like to ask one of the member who moved limit debate today.
Yes, sir.
Madam Secretary, was that you?
Yes, sir.
What was pending when you made that motion?
The main motion was pending when I moved to limit debate.
Okay, the main motion was pending. That's consistent with what I have. And your motion was what? Limit debate to what?
5 minutes per speaker.
5 minutes per speaker, okay. Now, the Assembly rejected your motion 1-4, but had the Assembly adopted your motion, what would have been the effect of that on subsequent motions? Or would there have been any effect?
There would have been no effect on subsequent motions.
I can answer that. So if the Assembly had adopted the motion to limit or extend limits of debate, we could not have referred it to a committee, and also we could not have postponed it to the next meeting because both of those motions conflict with the purpose of limiting debate.
Okay. So the very next thing, though, was your colleague's motion to refer to committee.
Mm-hmm.
So would it have had any effect on that?
Yes, it would have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. When the motion was made to rescind the action taken at the previous meeting, the chair only required a majority vote on that. Can you explain why?
I can explain that. I required a majority vote on that because the motion to rescind was given previous notice. Had there not been previous notice, I would have required a 2/3 vote to rescind.
Okay, and I've got one more question. This one is specifically for something that the secretary said in debate on the motion to refer. She said that members of the committee would not be as passionate about pursuing this. Can you explain how you knew that?
Well, I believe as an assembly, we brought the motion up together and discussed it together, and the committee getting that motion would not understand what we discussed in our session. So I believe that we as an assembly would be more passionate about the motion than the committee would, that it would be referred to.
Okay. And one last question and then I'll quit. Chair number 4, you made the motion to refer in the first place.
Yes.
And you said that you wanted to refer it to a committee of 3 with the power to investigate.
Yes.
What power does that infer that would not be made just by making the motion to refer to a committee without that power? What additional rights did you give that committee?
Well, we kind of just gave it to them to like look into it further and discuss what they believe is true, and then they could come back and tell us what they think that we should do at our next meeting. Instead of like giving them the power to actually do it, we gave them the power to discuss it and then tell us what we are going to do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's all we have. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We will now provide a few moments for judges to score and the stage to be reset before our final presentation. If you need to leave the auditorium, please do so at this time. Good afternoon. If you are just now joining us, I ask that you please observe a few basic rules as audience members. At this time, please silence all electronic devices, including cell phones. I also ask that you quickly find your seat and you remain in your seat through the duration of this presentation. If you do need to leave the auditorium, please wait to do so until after the presentation. This will ensure that all teams are provided a fair environment. Thank you for your cooperation. Before our final parliamentary procedure team comes onto the stage, I would like to remind you once again that this event is being live tweeted with the hashtag SuperBowlLDE. Are the judges ready? Courtesy Corps, please secure the doors and hallways. Our fourth team is from the Kathleen FFA chapter in the state of Florida. Team members include Amber Hanna, Maddie Dvorak, Logan Jewell, Autumn Jackson, Jacob Yelvington, and Shelby Carlton.
Is there any new business which should now be transacted?
Madam Chairman.
Maddie.
I move to rescind the motion that our chapter hold a bicycle safety program. Previous notice was given.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded that we rescind the motion that our chapter hold a bicycle safety program. Is there any debate?
Madam Chairman.
Maddie.
I made this motion because we've recently taken on this bicycle safety clinic. It requires at least 15 students, and we have many students that are getting ready for the Polk County Youth Fair, as well as our state fair. We do not have enough time for this motion. Vote yes on the motion to rescind.
Is there any further debate on the motion to rescind? Seeing none, we will now proceed to vote. All those in favor of rescinding the motion that we hold a bicycle safety program, say aye.
Aye.
Is there any? All opposed say no.
No.
The noes have it, the motion fails. We will not rescind the motion. Is there any further business?
Madam Chairman.
Autumn.
I move that the chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state.
Second.
I object to the consideration of the question.
There has been an objection to the consideration of the question. Shall we consider the question? Let me remind the Assembly that this motion requires a 2/3 vote to not consider the question. All those who wish to consider the question, please stand. 4, thank you. All opposed, same sign. 1, thank you. With 4 in favor and 1 opposed, we will consider the question. The motion has been moved and seconded that our chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state. Is there any debate?
Madam Chairman.
Autumn, as maker of the main motion, your first right to debate.
I made this motion because in previous years we have formed a sister chapter with an FFA chapter in the state of Florida. By forming this exchange program, we would be able to exchange ideas through presidents, as well as learn how each chapter is run differently and bring these ideas back and maybe adhere these differences in our chapter. With this in mind, vote yes.
Madam Chairman.
Amber.
It is imperative that we fail this motion.
We don't know how we would transport our members to this chapter or how we would coordinate with this chapter. For this reason, I urge you all to join me in failing the motion.
Madam Chairman,
Logan.
I implore the Assembly to fail this main motion. We currently do not have the funds to financially support this main motion. And just simply, we have our finances focused in a more area to send our students to the state FFA convention and other conferences that are in the state of Florida. For this reason, I urge a no vote.
Madam Chairman. Jake.
Join me in passing this motion. As previously stated, we have established sister chapters in past years. With an exchange program like this, our chapter would be able to establish important contacts in other states, and we would be able to establish contacts in other states and make these important contacts. With this in mind, vote yes.
Madam Chairman, I have a request for information.
Logan, state your request.
This motion could require a large expenditure. Could the treasurer please state the current balance?
Autumn, as treasurer, can you please state the current balance?
The current balance is $7,265.
Thank you. Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Madam Chairman.
Maddie.
Madam Chairman, I move to refer this motion to the Activities Committee and give them power to act.
Second. The motion has been moved and seconded that we refer this motion to the Activities Committee and give them power to act. Is there any debate?
Madam Chairman.
Maddie.
I made this motion because by referring it to the Activities Committee, they could answer many unanswered questions, such as how we will transport to the sister chapter, as well as where we will find them funds for this. We must pass this motion.
Madam Chairman.
Jake.
Join me in failing this motion. As a committee member myself, I know firsthand that the Activities Committee considers items in the order they are received. We are currently working on 10 items right now regarding our Polk County Youth Fair, so I know that this motion will be put on the bottom of the pile and will not be handled in a timely manner. I hope you'll take this into consideration and fail the motion.
Madam Chairman.
Autumn.
I encourage the Assembly to fail this motion. If we were to refer this to the Activities Committee and give them power to act, we as an Assembly lose our right to vote. As maker of this motion, I feel that my vote needs to be accounted for. With this in mind, vote no.
Madam Chairman.
Logan.
I agree with the maker of this motion. As stated in the FFA Creed, I believe that the Activities Committee can and will do the best logical decision for our chapter. Therefore, I urge a positive vote.
Is there any further debate on the motion to refer? Seeing none, we will now proceed to vote. All those in favor of referring this motion to the Activities Committee and give them power to act, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No.
The noes have it. The motion fails. We will not refer the motion. Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Madam Chairman.
Jake.
I move to limit debate to 5 minutes per speaker.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded that we limit debate to 5 minutes per speaker. This motion is not debatable, but is amendable. Are there any amendments? Seeing none, we will now proceed to vote. Let me remind the Assembly that this motion requires a 2/3 vote for passage. All those who wish to limit debate to 5 minutes per speaker, please stand. 1, thank you. All opposed, same sign. 4, thank you. With 1 in favor and 4 opposed, the motion fails. We will not limit debate to 5 minutes per speaker. Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Madam Chairman.
Amber.
I move to postpone this motion indefinitely.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded that we postpone this motion indefinitely. Is there any debate?
Madam Chairman.
Amber.
I made this motion because there is a large possibility that we won't be able to have the transportation for this motion or the funds. For this reason, it's obvious that we need to kill the motion. Vote yes.
Madam Chairman.
Autumn.
I encourage the Assembly to vote no on this motion. By organizing a chapter exchange program, we would be able to introduce our freshmen into what exactly the FFA is about, as well as how other chapters are ran around within our neighboring states. We must fail this motion.
Madam Chairman.
Maddie.
I implore the Assembly to vote down this motion. Having a sister chapter from another state allows us to understand agricultural diversity, which is something that we don't get since we are in the center of our state. This motion must fail.
Madam Chairman.
Jake.
Join me in failing the postponement. Join me in failing the postponement. Join me in failing this postponement. We have spent much time on this motion, and we should not simply kill it off. This motion deserves a vote. With this in mind, vote no.
Is there any further debate on the motion to postpone this motion indefinitely? Seeing none, we will now proceed to vote. All those in favor of postponing this motion indefinitely, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No.
The noes have it. The motion fails. We will not postpone this motion indefinitely. Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Madam Chairman.
Autumn.
I move to postpone this motion to next week's meeting.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded that we postpone this motion to next week's meeting. Is there any debate?
Madam Chairman.
Autumn.
I made this motion because many of our 9th graders are absent tonight due to our county ag tour. This motion is something that would affect all of our 9th graders greatly, and they need to be here to decide on this matter. With this in mind, vote yes.
Madam Chairman.
Logan.
I rise in opposition to the motion. Next week, we're hosting our annual Alumni Appreciation Dinner, and our members will be focused on that event. We need to consider this item while we can focus all of our attention on the motion. With this in mind, fail the postponement.
Madam Chairman.
Amber.
It is imperative that we fail this motion. Delaying action on this matter is not a beneficial use of the Assembly's time. We have the knowledge to make this decision tonight. For this reason, I urge you all to join me in failing the postponement.
Is there any further debate on the motion to postpone this motion to next week's meeting? Seeing none, we will now proceed to vote. All those in favor of postponing this motion to next week's meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No.
The noes have it. The motion fails. We will not postpone the motion. Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Madam Chairman, I rise to question of group privilege.
Logan, state your question.
It is hot in here. May the FFA members please remove their jackets.
Logan, our chapter has a standing rule which states jackets must be worn during official meetings. Therefore, I cannot grant your request.
Thank you.
Is there any further debate?
Madam Chairman.
Jake.
I move that when we adjourn to meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the Ag Building.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded that when we adjourn to meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the Ag Building. This motion is not debatable but is amendable. Are there any amendments? Seeing none, we will now proceed to vote. If there's no objection to setting an adjourned meeting, may we pass this motion by general consent? Seeing no objection, the motion is passed. We will meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the Ag Building. Is there any further debate on the main motion?
Madam Chairman.
Maddie.
I implore the Assembly to pass this main motion. Florida is known for its citrus industry, which has recently been affected by greening. By partnering with a neighboring state such as Georgia, we could learn how they handle disasters to their peach industry, just as we're handling our disaster to our citrus industry. We must pass this motion.
Madam Chairman.
Amber.
We must fail this motion. Where this motion offers many benefits, we simply do not know everything that goes with it. For this reason, I cannot lend my support to this motion. Vote no.
Madam Chairman.
Logan.
I urge the Assembly to fail this motion. We cannot simply, our members do not have the time right now because they're focused on proficiencies and SAEs as well as other CDEs. So therefore, we just cannot simply ask our members to be involved in this exchange program with a neighboring state. For this reason, I urge a no vote.
Madam Chairman.
Jake.
Join me in passing this motion. The FFA motto states living to serve. If our chapter were to establish this exchange program, we would be living up to the FFA motto by providing our members with this important learning opportunity. With this in mind, pass the motion.
Is there any further debate on the main motion? Seeing none, we will now proceed to vote. All those in favor of the motion that the chapter organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state, please stand. 3, thank you. All opposed, same sign. 2, thank you. With 3 in favor and 2 opposed, the motion passes. The chapter will organize a chapter exchange program to visit an FFA chapter in a neighboring state. Since the time for adjournment has arrived, we will meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the Ag Building. Meeting adjourned.
All right, good afternoon. Congratulations on having made the final round.
Thank you.
We have 2 rounds of questions for you this afternoon, beginning first with the individual whose motion was postponed definitely. Okay, your question this afternoon is in 3 parts. First, if a main motion is postponed definitely to the next chapter meeting, what does it become at that meeting?
Can you please repeat the question?
If a main motion is postponed definitely to the next chapter meeting, what does it become at that meeting?
It would be taken up and become unfinished business.
Okay, and second, where would it appear on the agenda for that meeting?
Unfinished business.
And lastly, if a main motion is postponed definitely and made a special order for the next chapter meeting, where does it appear on the agenda for that meeting?
It would come up under the special orders at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Mr. Secretary, the motion to limit or extend limits of debate is a very flexible motion. Roberts lists 4 individual forms of this motion depending on the desired objective. Name them.
Can you please repeat your question?
Yes, sir. The motion to limit or extend limits of debate is a very flexible motion. Roberts lists 4 individual forms of this motion depending on the desired object. Name them.
Can you please repeat the question for the last time?
Yes, sir. The motion to limit or extend limits of debate is a very flexible motion. Roberts lists 4 individual forms of this motion depending on the desired object. Name them.
one of the forms to limit or extend limits of debate. A member can say, I move to limit debate to desired time. I move to extend debate to a desired time. A member can also limit the number of speeches that a member can give, and they can also limit debate as to how much longer a member can debate.
Okay. And what term is used to describe when an order limiting or extending the limits of debate finally ceases to be in force?
The term is exhausted.
Thank you.
To the maker of request for information. To which class of motions does request for information belong?
Could you please repeat the question?
To which class of motions does request for information belong?
The motion to request information belongs to the incidental motion class.
Requests for information is grouped with other motions as requests and inquiries. There are 5 items listed as requests and inquiries. Please list 3 of the 5.
Could you please repeat the question?
Request for information is grouped with other motions as requests and inquiries. There are 5 items listed as requests and inquiries. Please list 3 of the 5.
A parliamentary inquiry, a question of group privilege, and then a point of order.
Thank you.
Object to the consideration of the question. Yes, ma'am. What vote is required to sustain the objection?
A majority vote is required to sustain an objection.
Okay. If the objection is sustained, what is the effect on the main motion?
The main motion dies. It can't be brought up again.
Okay. Thank you.
To the maker of rescind. Assume a member proposes to rescind a main motion. Robert's Rules of Order newly revised lists 3 types of votes that can be used to adopt the motion to rescind. Please list the votes required to adopt rescind.
In order to adopt the motion to rescind, with previous notice, you can have a majority vote. Without previous notice is 2/3, as well as a majority of the entire membership.
Thank you.
And for the chair. As the chair, it is your duty to remain impartial. However, as a member of the organization, do you have the right to participate in debate on a main motion?
In committees, the chair can stay at the chair station in debate. However, in assemblies like ours, I cannot stay at the chair in debate, and I cannot participate in debate on the main motion, only on appeals.
Okay, so then part 2 is, how can the chair participate in debate?
The chair can leave the chair and appoint another chairman, or the assembly can vote for another chairman, and then the chair can participate in debate.
And lastly, if the presiding officer relinquishes the chair, when should the presiding officer return to the chair's position?
After the pending business is taken care of.
Okay. All right, that concludes our first round. Let's have a brief round now of some questions for clarification. Am I to understand that the entire assembly today is in favor of reconvening at 2 p.m. tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we adopted the main motion. What else is there to do at 2 p.m. tomorrow?
We had other items of business on our agenda today, and we saw that we weren't going to be able to get it by the time of adjournment that we had already preset. So we decided to create an adjourned meeting to continue on with our agenda, which we did not complete today.
Where do you pick up? Where do you start at 2 p.m. tomorrow?
Tomorrow at the adjourned meeting, we would pick up where we had left off at this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chairman, when you finally got to a vote on the main motion, you took that vote by rising.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I wanted to make sure that the count would be entered in the minutes, So I wanted to make sure that the vote was, that it was going to pass because it was kind of close. So I wanted to make sure that I got a counted vote to make sure that it was passing.
Okay. If you hadn't gotten that counted vote, if you'd taken a voice vote, what could you have done to have achieved the same objective?
I could have ordered a counted or a rising vote.
Okay, and could your members have done the same thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
For the limit debate, you moved to limit to 5 minutes per speaker. At that point in the meeting, no one had even come close to 5 minutes of speech. Most debates were less than 30 seconds. So what was the reasoning behind setting a 5-minute timeline, especially knowing the constraints of time on the meeting?
Well, I made the limit to 5 minutes because, as previous speaker has said, we had other items on the agenda that we needed to get to, and I felt that this item may take up a good portion of our time, so I felt that limiting would keep us from doing that.
Okay. Chair number 4, you moved to refer this to the Activities Committee with the power to act. What does that mean?
By giving them that power to act, we allowed them to act as the assembly and act for our assembly in terms of how we would handle this motion. So they were able to vote on the motion themselves without having to come back with a committee report for us to vote on. They handled the motion themselves.
Okay.
And with that, they were able to spend money and make decisions for us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I believe that's all we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This concludes the National Parliamentary Procedure Event Finals. Through participation in FFA activities, members learn the skills needed to be successful in life. You can also gain those skills needed for your future success when you involve yourself in opportunities such as those featured on this stage. Congratulations to all teams. The national winning team will be announced at the 9th General Session tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 p.m. at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. We look forward to seeing you there. Our second day of National Finals Hall has drawn to a close. National FFA offers many opportunities to recognize the outstanding accomplishments of its members. It has been an honor to feature FFA members who have excelled in these events. Thank you to our participants, judges, timekeepers, courtesy corps, and audience for an exceptional National FFA Finals Halls experience. I look forward to seeing you next year at National Final Hall and wish you the best of luck in the upcoming year.